There are lots of United fans and non-United fans that feel that Jim Ratcliffe will not be able to make any sort of real, tangible change at Manchester United as minority owner. How can he possibly do that if the Glazers still have the majority of control? In my opinion, there's two real methods of that. Number one is communication, speaking to fans, laying out your plans, making yourself accountable for what follows. But number two, and more importantly, is direct action. We've not had much of it. We've had speculation for a year. But today, we've got confirmation that Richard Arnold is going to be sacked by Manchester United, by more specifically, really, Ineos and Jim Ratcliffe. There's going to be a statement released later today that might say, mutual termination. He's going to leave at the end of the year, and they'll speak about how good he was. In reality, Richard Arnold is being sacked by Manchester United, sacked by Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos because he is not fit as Manchester United CEO. And for me, I really am excited about this change. Now, I did a video a couple of days ago where I ran through Jim Ratcliffe's to-do list, my opinion of what he should be doing when he comes into the club, and I had Richard Arnold down and sacking him as number 4. Now, Jim Ratcliffe has done that before the announcement's even been confirmed of a 25% takeover. All right. Now, what I'm going to do now is run through Mark Kleiman's article from Sky News, where he runs into a lot more detail about what this sacking means, about who replaces him, and what comes next for United. So give me 5 minutes of your time, and I'll run through this. And by the way, Mark Kleiman, can I say, he's the Sky News journalist who led with the strategic review statement that came out a year ago. He was first to that. He was first to Ratcliffe investing $240 million of his own money on top of buying 25% of Man United with Ineos. Mark Kleiman is first to Richard Arnold being sacked as well. He clearly has his sources in the right place. But this is what he's been reporting. Manchester United CEO Richard Arnold is set to leave after just 2 years in the job. Sky News has learned that the Old Trafford club would announce to the New York Stock Exchange later on Wednesday that Richard Arnold is to step down by the end of the year. So 6 weeks' time? And this is even more important. He will hand over operational control of the club immediately and be replaced as interim CEO by Patrick Stewart. So Richard Arnold, he's gone. Richard Arnold immediately is passing any sort of control that he has over to Patrick Stewart. That's huge. We haven't got to wait until we might wait until the end of the year until he no longer is associated with the club. But immediate control is taken out of his hands. And therefore, some control is taken away from the Glazers, but it's going towards Patrick Stewart, and I'll speak about him in a minute. The shake-up in United's leadership will come just days before the club is expected to confirm that Jim Ratcliffe's Ineos are buying 25% of the club. Insiders said that Arnold had succeeded in modernising the structure of United's football operations. We got a director of football in, technically, with John Murtough, a lot of internal appointments. I would say part of it has been modernised, yeah, but still the people in place were not fit for purpose. Jim Ratcliffe coming in, slapping Richard Arnold upside the head and saying, no, sorry, mate, you are not fit for this job. Because he is not fit for that job. Richard Arnold was brought in as Ed Woodward's replacement, and I was happy to give him the benefit, not the benefit of the doubt, but with Woodward leaving, I was excited. And I was like, you know what, maybe he could bring some change in. Now that we can look back on it with hindsight, not with hindsight, we can just look back on it with evidence. We can categorically say that he has not been fit for purpose in truly modernising our football club. Now, in terms of who's replacing him, Patrick Stewart is coming in. So I couldn't resist. I mean, you can't resist that, right? It's not that Patrick Stewart. So Patrick Stewart is coming in and replacing him as the interim CEO. Let me quickly explain who he is and what he's going to be doing and why he's got that role. Patrick Stewart is one of Manchester United's board members. He's been at the club for about 16, 17 years. He's a chief counsel and he's involved in quite a lot of the stuff behind the scenes. Now, he's on the board. Cliff Beattie is in the board alongside him. I think he's a financial director at United. He works in the financial side of things. Might be like lead accountants, not sure. Cliff Beattie, Richard Arnold, and Patrick Stewart are the 3 board members alongside the 6 Glazers and the 3 independent directors. That's the 12 members of United's board. Richard Arnold is going to get sacked and replaced internally from a CEO perspective by Patrick Stewart. Now, this is from The Athletic. I'll read you a little bit more information about who Patrick Stewart is and why he's been given this role and why, in my opinion, it's a good thing. Okay, let me explain. Stewart joined United in 2006, became their chief legal officer and general counsel, responsible for overseeing the club's legal and regulatory affairs and managing relationships with the likes of the Premier League. Until further clarity is provided, Stewart is going to be responsible for managing the club and will play a key role in the transition phase when the Ineos deal is ratified. He's been working closely on the minority investment in recent weeks and was appointed to the club's PLC board at the end of 2022, as I just said there. Such is his importance behind the scenes, Stewart signed off on almost everything associated with the club, whether that's a record-breaking commercial deal like Adidas or a first-team player's contract extension. And we go down here, and no, that's actually what it is. But Patrick Stewart is going to be, maybe for want of a better comparison, but Ralph Rangnick was brought in as an interim manager to give United the ability to take a little bit of time and make sure that we got the appointment right of our manager, which I think we did in Erik ten Hag. Patrick Stewart being appointed as Manchester United's interim CEO will give Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos the ability to then kind of step back a little bit and make the right appointment. As I said, I wanted Richard Arnold to be sacked immediately. That's now been done. That's tangible, genuine, actionable change at our football club before he's even come in the door. But the thing that has to be different, and the thing I genuinely feel it will be different this time, is we've had equal excitement at a CEO or a chief. I think he was a CEO. Was he just chief executive? No, I think he was. No, executive vice chair. Sod knows. Who cares? When Woodward left, who cares what his role was? I was excited because I was thinking, maybe change can really come now. But you always feared that Richard Arnold could just be another version of him. That's Patrick Stewart. Not that Patrick Stewart. Which is exactly what it was. Richard Arnold ended up being another Woodward. I would say he did try with the John Murtough appointment, when he went and spoke to fans. He tried somewhat. But truth be told, he was just another Woodward. Now, what bringing in an interim CEO gives United the ability to do is to make sure that we bring the right person in. Now, I've been planning this video on Jean-Claude Blanc for a little while now. So I'm really happy that it's coming out tomorrow. It's kind of a long, in-depth, deep dive on Jean-Claude Blanc, who, for me, is absolutely the leading candidate for that role. And I tell you what, if we go back to this article here from The Athletic and we scroll down here, we can see they're actually saying this too. One second here. The expectation is that Jean-Claude Blanc will eventually succeed Arnold as United's permanent CEO. And my video tomorrow is going to be a really in-depth video looking at his education, his time before he went into Juventus and PSG, when he worked with the French Tennis Association, when he worked with the Winter Olympics closing and opening ceremony and the marketing side of things, the lessons that he learned at Juventus and what he navigated and carried through there in modernising the club and building their stadium, and what he did as well at PSG with sort of making them a digital marketing behemoth and a fashionable club now. And it's certainly helped in that sense. He is experienced in more ways than one. And absolutely, him coming in to Manchester United is night and day from Richard Arnold, who was nothing more than a Glazers' yes man. So the fact that we're getting this change here, that's the start of it, okay? There's a reason that on this I didn't put number 4 sack Richard Arnold, number 5 sack John Murtough. Because sacking Richard Arnold and replacing him from within with Patrick Stewart is a bit of a simpler task than sacking John Murtough and replacing him with someone like Paul Mitchell. I think this will follow, but I don't think that's something that he can do immediately before he's even got the announcement of the 25% takeover done. But you know what I think about John Murtough leaving, and you know full well what I think about Paul Mitchell coming in and replacing him. But ladies and gents, this is it. This is the beginning of genuine, real change, actionable change that you can point at, that you can touch. Richard Arnold, they'll call it, I don't know, they can call it whatever they want. I know what I'm calling it. He's getting sacked. He's not fit for purpose. He's not fit for the job that he is supposed to be doing. He has not done the job properly, and he is going to be replaced by somebody else when the new owners come in. Call that whatever you want. I'm calling it him being sacked because it's absolutely correct. Now, Jim Ratcliffe, this is the beginning of it, right? You know what I think about Ten Hag. I'm absolutely convinced, not pretty convinced, that he is the right manager if we've got the right structure behind him. Like getting rid of John Murtough, like getting rid of Richard Arnold, and like bringing in Jean-Claude Blanc, and like bringing in Paul Mitchell. Jim Ratcliffe has started that process before the announcement of the 25% takeover is even done. As is written in this article here, we go up. He's handing over control of the club immediately. Richard Arnold, you're fired. John Murtough, you're probably next. This is the start of change. It's a long old road here, and it's been a long old 12 months. And I know that sometimes I can get a little bit overexcited, a little bit overzealous in how important maybe a signing could be, but this here is the beginning of the real change, the actual change. And there's only so far that we can go without the Glazers actually not owning any of our club. But getting rid of Richard Arnold is absolutely a massive step in the right direction. And I hope a lot more follows. You can let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure you check out that video on Jean-Claude Blanc tomorrow, because you'll learn everything you need to know about him in that video.